Muchas gracias a todos y a todas por venir hoy. Mi nombre es Javier Agustín Rojas y soy el director del SEAC. Antes de presentar el evento de hoy, me gustaría, como siempre, compartirles el calendario de actividades que organizamos para este semestre. Los que no tengan una versión impresa pueden retirar una de manera gratuita. Todos los eventos anteriores ya están disponibles en el canal de YouTube de la escuela, con formato presentación. Y me gustaría invitarlos al evento de la semana que viene, Conversaciones a 60 años del concurso de la Biblioteca Nacional, que forma parte de las actividades de extensión de la muestra Arquitecturas para el Conocimiento, documentos del concurso de la Biblioteca Nacional, una muestra llevada adelante por el archivo de Tella Arquitectura, que empezó sus actividades este año, que trata sobre los 4 primeros premios del concurso de la Biblioteca Nacional. Fue llevada adelante por Ricardo Fernández Rojas, director de la carrera, Isabela Moretti y el resto del equipo de la universidad. Bueno, y ahora para hablar un poquito de esta noche voy a pasar a inglés en honor a nuestros invitados. We're very happy to have Paul and Nicolas from N2F. I will say it in Spanish. This lecture is the third lecture of the cycle Redescripción y Reorganización that we've been developing with the support of the French Embassy. I'm trying to find our partners from the French Embassy and the Institut Français, Lucia and Stéphane, who have been helping us a lot with these events. The title, Redescripción y Reorganización, takes the cue from Marcelo and Sebastián's studio in thesis that speaks about the transformation of buildings, of existing heritage, new projects that deal with the existing fabric of the city. The idea of this cycle is to invite different architects that work on programs in relation to the city, in relation to change of programs, in relation to transformation. We had the presence of Pierre-Alain Révélot from TVK a couple of weeks ago that spoke more about the history of the city and the history of public space. Today, I'm sure we'll hear a lot about sports and the influence of sports in the changes of the city. But I won't go any further. Tonight's lecture will be introduced by Iñaki Harosteguy, who is a teacher of the school. Iñaki teaches with Marcelo and Sebastián in the thesis studio. He studied in the Universidad de La Plata and did his master's in la Escuela Superior Técnica de Madrid. So please, Iñaki, thank you for introducing tonight's presentation.
Gracias, Javi. Buenas noches. Good evening. This second half of the year, thanks to the support of the French Embassy, the school had the possibility to receive 3 contemporary offices from Paris: TVK, Plan Commun, and today NP2F, in addition to the past winter workshop by Bruder. They are some of the most relevant actors of the new French generation that understands crisis as an opportunity, where reuse, never demolish, as Lacaton Basal once said, marked a great starting point, and where do more with less means a provocative challenge for a new role of the architect in the contemporary society. Tonight, we are privileged to have Nicolas Guérin and Paul Maitre-Devallon, co-founders of French practice NP2F, along with Fabrice and François Chas in 2009. Nicolas and Paul graduated as architects 2006 from the Malaquis School of Architecture in Paris. Before forming NP2F, they worked with Lacaton and Basal and Harosteguy and Muron, respectively, and both have taught and lectured at many schools and institutions of architecture in France and abroad, such as the Peter Behrens School of Art in Düsseldorf and the Royal College of Art Summer School in London. NP2F is an architectural practice spread between Nice and Paris, whose work ranges from architectural to urban design projects. Their field of action is the city itself, finding opportunities in its between spaces to intensify social exchange and healthy activities. As scientific curators of the exhibition Sports, Portrait d'une Métropole for the Pavillon d'Arsenal in 2014, they acquired a strong knowledge of sports spaces in the city of Paris. Since then, they questioned the relationship between sports and the city, historically found in isolated enclosures, to reintroduce it as an everyday thing with everyone's reach. But sports are just a pretext to think about the city, where architectural buildings became an urban question. To the historical pair, living and working, they introduced a third balancing force that places leisure and well-being on the podium of urban life. Now, entertainment, sport, and enjoyment are positioned into unquestionable categories of the contemporary habitat. NP2F navigates between organization and experience, between disciplinary order and the beauty of contingency. Their projects are the result of a fine combination of open structures, clear geometries, and specific services. Fresh buildings with flexible and generous spaces guarantee full performance and social exchange. For them, economy of means seems to be an encouraged challenge, a positive constraint capable of activating a new level of creativity, a new horizon that replaces originality with reality and sensibility. Because of this and more, I believe NP2F synthesizes an intelligent approach to contemporaneity. Nicolas and Paul, thanks to joining us. It's all yours.
Okay. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much to invite us. Thank you very, very much to let us to discover your country, your city, and everything. Special thanks to l'Institut Français to organize this program. Special thanks to Javier and all the team, Marcelo and Sebastian, of course. We are very glad to be here to share with you our project. Let's say that redescription and reorganization, it's a team very important and effective for us. Because we are marked by different crises in our approach of architecture so far from the beginning. Economic crisis, social crisis, and of course ecological crisis. So those crises are for us an opportunity to think about architecture, spaces, and to find a way of how to draw a new city based on the existing things, based on basic form, based on a few teams that are present in all of our projects. Simple structure, space open towards the city, space, interior spaces increased by exterior, less material, the good material in the good place, warmless building to save the energy, and of course, the power of drawings, the power of form to create uses. We are going to present 10 projects, from the little one to the bigger one. We have this chance to work in different scales, so we chose to do something very academic. From the start with this study that we did in 2014 about speaking about sport. Why we choose sport? It's because for us sports is first of all a question of spaces. I mean, a football field or tennis court is impacted by spaces. You cannot deal with it, the weight, the length, the height. So, as an architect, we were very interested about all this dimension in the city to understand directly in contact with uses how we can rethink about it. Aldo van Eyck, with this form, creates new uses. So we decided to have a look on the city of Paris, the region of Paris actually, not the 27,000 white dash that you can see here, but we choose some very particular spaces showing a relationship very interesting in between sports and cities. So we draw some big drawing showing that, for example, this garden of a guy in the suburb of Paris, which is a skate park, just a form in concrete, and this guy invites his friends and all skateboarders all around to go inside. So this guy creates a public equipment with the garden of his mother. So we can link directly this example with the DIY practice, where people create form who create uses in the city. Other example in Paris, so this one in Pigalle, just a basketball court in between two walls, or this one very narrow in the real center of Paris, near St. Paul Church, are part of a series of sports facilities area installed opportunely in Paris. It's because, of course, of the density of Paris. Paris is very dense, very built. So the municipality installed different forms inside plot, sometimes as a triangle, sometimes in a narrow plot, sometimes bigger, sometimes in the center, sometimes in the border. But the sports has this ability to be installed everywhere. There is, of course, a bigger area, a big stadium. This is very particular in Paris. We have two stadiums very close, just with a one-way road in the center. On the left, the Parc des Princes for football, and on the right, Stade Jean-Bouin for rugby. All these examples show that Paris installed the sports facilities area in the border of the city, near to the peripheric. Another one very famous is Roland Garros, which is well known for the tennis tournament. And here you can see the map of all these facilities installed all around the cities. For us, it was important that this sports analysis show some urban development, very impactant for the city. The city of Paris decided to place all these sports facilities all around the peripheric because they haven't space anymore, and they try to deal with the peripheric with the subway all around the city. We choose to draw super big format with a scientific way, where in the drawing the facade and the plan are right. So it's called a military axonometric, and they allow people to measure during the exhibition the place of the sports in the city. So those atlas was the first part of the work. The second part was to understand some phenomenon linked to the sport. Let's see quickly the plan of Cergy-Pontoise, which is a new city built fully from nothing. So here you can see a totally fake or artificial sports facilities area. That is for us architecture, of course, because it was designed by an architect during the construction of the city. Very very straight, very based on a modernist way, and the sports facilities was drawn with the city in the same times. Another example, it's the impact of the sports activity in the city. For example, the running, which draws the parcours of the marathon during the evolution. During his evolution, so on the upper part left, the first one linked Paris and Conflans Saint-Honoré, which is a city close to Paris, and then people were more interesting to run and see the city at the same time. So on the left down, you can see the actual marathon parcours, which is a discovering of Paris and his monument. Of course, you can imagine that with Paris and this closed form, the sport was mixed with other program. On the top of the tower, just below the subway, or inside housing. So that creates this rich typology where we can see that the space of sports can be mixed with almost all the program as possible. And the third part of the studies was to draw 9 tools to create or to design sports facilities area. For example, the light, which are a presence on the city that show the space of sport, but not physically, but just with uses. Or the structure, very impressive in different material. This is the longer pan wood design in Paris in the INSEP Stadium, or this column of Bercy, which is a big concert areas. Another tools was, of course, the lines. The line are very important because it's something very simple that we can find everywhere in the city, on a wall, or sometimes in more defined spots. Sometimes you can pass the wall. Sometimes the line is like a wall. Sometimes you are offside, behind the line. So that is physical. That is a space, and that creates those sport uses. So one of our first projects was to design a simple playground just in the front of the pavillon de l'Arsenal, the musée where the exhibition take place, and we design a simple ground in concrete with fences and line. And that create a contrast in between the very historical Paris and this simple form.
So yeah, another really small project. So it's the first one was a book. The second one is a table that we drew from just after the lockdown. With the invitation of Central, Maitre-Devallon and which are Belgian and French architects, and they asked us with 40. With 40 other architects to draw a table coming from a fascination from an object. So the name of the exhibition is Object of Fascination, and so it was asking what are the consideration of all these architects and how a simple form can draw something super usable like a table that we all have in our living room. Our idea was to insist, as the theme Nicolas just speak about in introduction, about the relationship between inside and outside, and how does architecture create limits, blur limits between things. And so we started with these references of which is one of our best references of the Sesc by Linda Bobardi, and we draw a table, an exterior table, speaking about the relationship of inside and outside. And so this, those forms are, the story says that those form is coming from the jury of the competition models. When Linda Bobardi was presenting the project, one of the members of the jury told her that there was no window in the tower, so she took a cigarette and created a wall. And so it was for us something speaking about how to make to draw a window in a wall is not something that's easy, and it can be a big power proposing some a link really different between inside and outside. Sorry for the and so we took the form, adding with the shelters, and we superposed them to create this technical drawing of the table. This is the final object with the line. And so what we are going to speak tonight is that there is some team which are all over our project, from the really small scale to the really larger, and when we thought of this project, it's a really small project, but it took us a lot of time to try to define something relevant of our practice, and it's in a way linked to a project, a house we did in Marseille. It's an extension of this building, which is here. So the project is here. It's also the refurbishment of all the building. And as the table, in a way, was speaking between of the link between inside and outside, our project was asking how to deal with the limit of the existing building and the garden, which is in the front of the house. So the house is on one side directly looking the sea, and in the other side there is this tropical garden, which is a super nice area, but which was totally not connected with the building. So on the left, the existing part that we redraw, but really, how do you say, simply, with a minimum of gesture. It was like a long room with two orientations. We just added on the ground floor some facilities to make this space a double combination. It can be a gallery for art or an apartment to rent. So everything is hidden in this technical stripe. And on the right, you have the extension, which is on the upper level, the kitchen. And so, like really classical organization on the left, and this hybrid building, which is trying to create the link between inside and outside with really simple elements, like all windows and rail sometimes, and trying to erase this limit. And so there is only a rail on the stairs. The windows are sliding, but not how do you say? Not superposing themselves, so it's more like a wall greeting. Sometimes the roof is on the top of an exterior spaces. It's also a negotiation with the rules of urban rules, and it creates this kind of enfilade space. Only with view. So the roof, the kitchen on the right, and the stairs on the left, and behind this space.
Okay, I'm the sportive one. The third project is about sport. I don't know if you remember, but we just saw this drawing, this narrow facilities installation, the center of Paris, and we have the commission to transform it with a super low budget to create sports facilities area renovated with a specificity of design something for very young children. Sports activities, but for less than 6, let's say. And this spaces is very in the super center, very historical. Nearby a wall, which is the old limit of Paris, so very, very sensible space. And we just decided to install a ground for sports activities in the same color that the existing one, and some fences just to create separation in between the field, the different area, and an octagon with fences who protect the sports for young people inside and create a space for this typical use. So here you can see the simple fences, which are not connected to the wall. That means a lot for us because people can walk all around the space in between all those fields, and inside the special form, young people can do what they want, actually, protected by the fences. What we like in this uses, it's the imagination of a child. For example, the one in the top of the climbing hill is going to try to shoot with the ball inside the basketball net just on the right of the picture. So we haven't imagined that, but that is allowed with open form like this one. Without people, it appears just as an installation support of uses, and very simple and connected to the urban fabric. The next project, we did it with a Belgium office, Central, or friend of Central. It was a competition to transform an old factory in a cultural center in a district, very famous in Brussels, because the name is Molenbeek. Very famous, not for good things, because it was in 2017, just after the terrorist attack, and it was actually the neighborhood of the terrorists. So social social complexity, and but with a program, a cultural program. So that means the municipality want to change it with culture, and so we were very, very interested in this subject, and we have a look on the Harosteguy drawing, which speak about how to deal with very different form, and we propose to open the building the more that we can to the city. We created these two big halls with on the right an in-between space open towards the city, open to people, to invite it to go inside. In section, we demolished some part of the slab to create this space accorded in section and in volume to this plan. So here you can see on the right this form, and on the left the structural very simple plan that we keep like that, and that we build. So here is the collage that we did for the competition, with this blurry fences showing all the building, all the stairs, and open with the ground floor, and with all the people who go inside directly. So here's some picture with the construction period, and here the building just delivered. The new linked with the new stairs take a a powerful color and appears like a concrete link in between all the stairs. We installed always these circular windows to show to the people that some exhibition happens or light system happen in different level. And in other part, simple glass facade, simple structure for acoustic things, and light allow people to create. It was a low budget as well, so we have to choose this type of architecture and things, but actually it was perfectly accorded to the buildings that we have in mind.
This project is in Centro of Paris. It's a competition we unfortunately used a few months ago. It's for a school of art, and it's in the Quartier Latin, so it's really the historical school district with the most famous school of Paris, including Jussieu and also École Normale Supérieure, etc. The building was renovated by Philippe Starck like 20 years ago. It was he drew a pure marble volume. It's quite high because it's 20 meters high, and it's only marble on the facade, which is a super radical idea. Quite nice, really 80s, but which was not working really for the students. And there was this main remark from everybody saying that he drew an hotel and for school it was not super adapted. And so the competition was about the small building which is here in the courtyard. And the question was, should we, the main option of the brief was to demolish it and to rebuild something really more adapted, flexible, with large space and with less connotation or less drawing, but to make things happen for art students. And so we had a look quite precise on the existing part, which has a lot of quality. It's a super simple concrete structure, a lot of glass, but also some screens super high like this, which are creating some hiding the facade. But it doesn't work anymore. So there was a lot of quality, and with our environmental engineer, we look at it quite precisely to make a bilan, saying what is looking the sun, how the sun is lighting the building, how does the facade can integrate the solar energy during winter and during summer, and also which room work well in terms of climate and so from this precise study we develop some strategy, not design strategy but really thermical strategy and ecological ones. The first one was to keep all the facade which was not efficient. So the south facade worked well because it was taking all the sun apart from the winter, but it doesn't work well in summer. So we keep it in the first time, and we leave all the other facade which was not really working. We take out the second step was to take out the slab of the ground floor, which was under parking uses as a storage, to make a gallery, a space which doesn't need light, and so which was well placed on the background. And we add finally the new structure, which is in red here. So in blue what we subtract, and in red what we add, making this from this square a rectangle more adapted to the practice of the students. The idea was to have all the vertical circulation, technical one, outside, to create something, a volume with insulation the more compact possible, and to keep a few elements of the existing part, like the glass, the marble, some furnitures, but also some metallic structure, and to reuse them as part of the project. So the project is divided on two sides: the warm one with the existing and the extension, and the outside one on the left, which is the real prolongation of the interior spaces. Making, as the program was a number of square meters for sure, and so the idea was to say that we can increase the surface of the school with this idea that exterior most of the year can be used as an interior when the temperature is alright. So finally, we look at it with a thermal simulation with the project, and we precisely move the lines depending of the sun coming on the facade, depending of the thickness we need to create a good insulation, but also to draw the light, that the opening dimension that we need to have the good light inside the rooms, but without too much degradation of energy. And at the end, so it creates this kind of stuff. Maybe it's too complicated for today, but, and so at the end we have something which is super pragmatic in a way on this rectangle, and another part more free in the courtyard, creating this relation between inside and outside. It looks like quite morphologic or maybe a gesture, but it's not, as it was defined by the sun and all the circulation added, creating this strange form, but also with the drawings of the trees around. So it's creating this building. We can still see the existing one, the original. The marble from the facade is used to around the elevators and the staircase, and there is this slab in concrete slide moving around the trees and creating this large external spaces. Also because as we were building a part of this courtyard which is super small, we needed to recreate the same amount of square meters that we deleted. So on the first level, the gallery. The second level, the workshop connected to this existing part, which is the storage of material. The second floor, the cafeteria, and the third floor, the main atelier for the 5th years of the school. Another kind of a project of renovation is a school of circus that we developed with a character special in the northeast of France. It's an industrial and agricultural site. It was used by the school of circus during 10 years as it was, only adding some temporary structure, chapiteaux, and it was quite poetry in a way, as there was this industrial structure totally blind, which was not used, but which was there before, and in parallel of the chapiteau, which was also blind, and that we put in parallel with this model from Calder, which is speaking about this two conditions of a totally blind and a non-active space from outside. And when you go inside, you have something totally spectacular and moving and with a lot of activities. And so there was this contrast between inside and outside that we wanted to keep as the starting point of the school. So here is the condition that we see when we had the first visit on site. We saw the chapiteau, temporal, the industrial hall, and then plus this highway crossing the plot. And so the strategy we developed was to redo all the roof existing, to make them usable again, and to add a new part, which is here, in the same kind of material. So the existing hall, the program, which is made of really diverse height, with some usual like offices, classic height, but also with a super large volume due to the typical activity of circus. And when we add all of them in one building, it creating this super large plan of 100 meters long. All the programs are on the same floor, so there is no superposition, or really a minimum one for technical things, with super high volume here in the center, some basic one on the side, and the others all around. And it creates, so the existing is here, the new one are here. And so the existing structure, which is made of steel, that we take out all the facades, including roof, and we develop the method to make the new building possible, which is prefabricated concrete on site. Also because it's a project with a super short economy, so we had to develop strategy to make it possible. So from this small, say, usine industry, we fabric all these beams and all these columns, totally like the old one, the pure structure. And we have some wooden insulation panel with this really specific space, which is the main room of the school. And at the end, the facade, which is the same on the existing and on the project. And what is making this school appearing in the city landscape is also that there is 2 or 3 moments a bit different. The first one is this artistical intervention with the name of poet things. The second thing is a really large door, which is usually used in the aeronautic industry. And the third thing is the stairs, which is technical in a way because it's letting the students going on the top of the high rooms to use the technical ports to make all the knots and things for certificates. So when you are in front of it, all the roof between inside, with existing and new ones. And when you enter inside, we have this ambition to speak the same language than the Calder model, and so you have this super intense moment which don't appear from outside. And at some moment the door is open, letting this kind of moment possible.
J'ai un truc. Okay, a bigger project, of course, which is spelled Sports Cathedral. Cathedral de Sport. We had this commission, let's say from scratch, without competition, and the city of Bordeaux, which is southwest of France, asked us to create a new type of sports buildings. In blue, you can say the footprint. It's important to say that it's in a new district, totally from a reorganization of the city in the front of historic city, and the building assembled in the same structure, 15,000 square meters of large number of different sports. So come back to Beaubardy. Obviously, we had in mind Cesc Pompéi. It's of course showing the ability of sport to create a strong interaction between different places, between athletes, and between the building itself and its surrounding. So the Sport Cathedral is a building of 20 meter height, 80 meters long, and 30 meters wide. 30 meters wide. Donc this is a place of more than 10 sports. Donc the slabs are established at different height to allow the possibility of setting up sports, such as climbing or paddle tennis, at the top the net of the golf practice. So here you can see how we install the program. We develop a lot of possibilities. We try a lot of combination about sport, because we create the program with the building in the same times. We haven't a program. We add the users, the guy in charge of the building at the end with us, but we create. We tried with swimming pool, with I don't know, some different sports, and finally there is three big parts: climbing, racket with paddle tennis and squash, and golf, which is quite new in France to have the golf. All the part of the golf in one building. Another Brazilian reference to Salvador Candia building in Sao Paulo, the Metropole Gallery, because we have many Brazilian reference. Sorry. Finally, to talk about the sports cathedral, explained by a certain sweetness that we seek to speak of the opening to the outside. A certain economy of gesture, again, that leads to remove the superfluous. Here you can see large floors, shelter and closed spaces, streets, finally public spaces. Donc the plan of for us, the plan of each floor is drawn as a city. So here it's an abstract of the facade, because finally it's not a facade. It's just nets taken from agricultural industry that allow us to close the door in winter and to let breathe it in summer. That means only 3,000 square meters of the building are warmed. Shops, yoga, restaurants, locker room, and all the other places are equipped by sports, but outdoor sports. Here in view from the new place that is going to be built. And here the ground floor plan, with the climbing wall. First floor, you can see the climbing wall who go up with this drawing. The third floor with all the paddle tennis and the first part of the golf range. And finally the rooftop with the golf practice. So we started with this building in 2016, and now it's very close to be finished. So here's some picture of the construction site. Yeah, what we like in this picture is the presence in the city of this building on the right, which is not built but is very sensitive in the landscape. The relationship with the surrounding, of course, with this amazing video. And here the building close to be finished with the sports activities installing currently. So here's some picture with a ground floor and this big volume for the climbing. And finally, all this big floor, very open, without facade. And the last test that is very actual is to choose the color of the nets. So last week we did this installation to choose a black, white. Gray. It's gray finally. Yeah. Finally, it's gonna be gray, like all of our projects, more or less gray.
So
we have two more projects. It's gonna be right or yeah? Okay. We have
So we are ending with the largest project. Just name one is the School of Architecture of Marseille that we are developing with Marion Bernard, François Chas, and Jacques Pécan. It's a school inside Marseille. So Marseille is the main city of the south of France. The School of Architecture used to be really out of the city as like an American campus. It was super nice area. We used to do our first years of school over there. It was super nice because it was in the forest, super close to the sea. It was something quite ideal, but paradisiac in a way. But lost paradise because it was super far from the center of the city, and so without the student was not staying long at the school. So it's a big movement for them to go from the outside to the center of the city. Also because the school is quite nice with this kind of moment that we like, where the class goes from inside to outside with all this circulation, large circulation spaces. So it was in the really center of the city. The train station is just here, and it used to be like a faubourg tissue, but it was cut by a modernism movement, with the highway going really deeply in the center of the city, letting some super large space compared to the old tissue. The new development of the city is to take out this highway, and so it's starting to be a park. And along this park, some buildings are developed to make it more like a urban and less urban environment. So here is the train station, here the project, and here the new park instead of the highway. This is the model of the competition, and it's speaking about because to draw a school of architecture is quite a responsibility. We know that it will be looked also in the form, but also in its purpose. It's a public element, public bâtiment, building. Sorry. It's a public building, and so it needs to be more than only a school designed for itself. But as it's architecture school, for us it was important that it was speaking on a larger scale, creating urbanity, creating a part of let's say at this scale, but a part of the urban moment around. And so we try to draw the most open structure to say that the building is some kind of public space, even if it will be closed, it will not be public, but it will appear with something super open and open to the area around. So the first step was to divide the building in the three parts, to make it like more a urban campus, not one building, but a composition of three buildings. Also to clarify the different function of an architectural school. So on the left here are the ateliers. It's 30 ateliers of the same size, 100 meters. So they are placed one by side. Here is a common building. On the ground floor are the forum, the space dedicated for jury or presentation or exhibition, and the administration, and on top of it, the library. And here, what was super important for us, it was to have a building dedicated to research, and at the same time superposing with the models atelier. So it's a building important in the process, as in France, I don't know how it is here, but research guys are often really far from the intensity of the school, and they are not visible, and something like not participating to the school. And so we thought that also because the research evolved to a material, to applied research, it was important to be really part of the process. So one of our first references was the Forum de Pompéi, to also ask the question of how a different kind of building can create a coherent moment, a coherent building, and not just an addition of functional volume. So this is a plan of the structure. It's really you inspired by the Pompéi moment, and you can see the three different structures: the rounded columns for the common bâtiment, square columns for the research, also because the charges on the floor are really more important, and on the atelier, this portic with this totally open spaces. So the first references was Palais Vienna, which is speaking of two structural elements: the pure structure with the columns and the slabs, and some partition walls, which can evolve with the time and be deleted or added depending of the use of the buildings. And so here are the structural columns, and here you can see the skins, the insulation skins, which are defined the space which is inside warm and outside which is more cold during the winter. And we can say that the structure is super regular, but the warm skin is really more evolving depending of the program inside, but also to the orientation of the sun, orientation of the wine, etc. So two types of concrete: the gray one, which is the structure, and the white one, which is the chemical skins. It's concrete from outside, concrete with the bulk of the plank, wood plank, and inside the same plank are used to close the insulation. And so it's a wall of 30 centimeters made by concrete outside, wood inside, but with the same kind of aesthetic. One of our references was also all this Italian palazzo, which evolved during the time, which appeared from away as something super regular, something super identifiable. But when you look at it precisely, you have some specific moments which are occurring, creating this idea that a building is, when you look at it, it looks like a really coherent building, but there is some complexity occurring when you are going closer to it. There was also the question of the Mediterranean climate in terms of cultural stuff, as if the name of the school is Institute of Mediterranean Vehicle, so town and territory. And so we have to deal with to define what is the Mediterranean architecture. And for us, it was this kind of space where inside and outside are undefined, and you can, the outside is really the part of the building. Here are the three main exterior spaces deducted by the buildings, so it's invert. And in plus to this typology is added the slope of the natural field, which is 10 meters high, and which is creating some really different level. The first one, which is the most public, connected to the main place, which is here, and others connected to the other part of the city. All the terraces are usable. All the roof are terraces, I would say. Also, it was a strategy, an economical strategy, because references was for sure the School of Architecture of Nantes, made by Lacaton-Vassal, where the idea was to do for amount of money defined by the competition the most square meters possible with an industrial gesture. And for us, the idea was to say that we can't produce, as the climate is different in Marseille and in Nantes, as such as square meters as it did, but we can use the exterior space as some real spaces, and so there is 12,000 square meters of warm spaces and the double of exterior spaces. And so it creates a campus really open with these two different languages, so the structure and the white concrete defining the different elements. And so when you look at it, it looks like super regular building, but precisely you can see the different elements. Here is the library, here are the administration, which is pushed a bit further from the facade to create some balcony. Here are the atelier and behind the research part. So here is the common building, the research. In between the exterior spaces which are dedicated to the function. So it's the extension of the model atelier which is here. And the facade of the atelier and the public space. So the ground level, ground floor, with the main square, the entrance square, the cafeteria, the auditorium, and the forum on the right.
Tu montres que d'un côté.
Pardon?
Tu montres que d'un côté.
Ah, c'est fort.
Ouais.
Okay, so,
Non, mais c'est bon, je ferai le côté.
Here's the forum. So I'm going to do a quick tour of all the pictures we made for the study. The auditorium. And here some occupation that we thought could be super interesting for a school of architecture. Of the outside space, the main one, the central courtyard, with different moments of a school, like conferences, some last jury of the year, or specific moments. Here are some occupation of the experimentation courtyard, totally connected to the atelier which is here. And you can also starting to see all the bridges which are linked which are linking the different buildings on the upper level. The bridges. All the ateliers are disturbed by outside, so there is no corridor, no warm corridor. Everything is accessible from outside. Oh, sorry. Creating this kind of facade, which is inspired by the actual school that we saw at the beginning of the project. Here are the atelier with this large portique of concrete, and all the partition walls are in wood to let the possibility to make the atelier larger if we need. As the program was super clear on what the school is today, but it was also opening the possibility that atelier can be larger or smaller, and etc. Here's the facade, and we can see two different kind of levels. The most public one, which is 6 meters high, and the classic one with 3 meters, and a particular level on top of the building with the library, which is also 6 meters high, defining two kind of spaces. So the library and the biggest atelier, which are here. They are also different because in terms of gestion of the climate, with some super big fan, 4 meters radius, diameter, sorry, to make this space able to be fresh all years long. So this specific level, the first one, with the library here, the atelier here, the large atelier, and the research building with some applied research about material. Here are the atelier, the library, and finally the model of the competition, which is super close to what is happening today because we are building it. So the picture are made by iPhone. I'm sorry, it's not super nice picture, but it's hard to photograph. And you can see the two moments: the structure in gray and the panel in white. And here we are in the cafeteria, so the first ground level. The bridges on top, the research on the back, and the facade on the streets. So the library level is coming to happen. So here, only the concrete moment is finalized, and they are starting the finishing with the windows to start all the partition wall inside. But we have to say that ideally, and we work often like that this kind of moment is almost the end of the building, because everything is staying apparently like that. So all the intermediate floor in the research bâtiment building is made with wood. Here is the wood for the partition wall, and they are starting to build up the three things. And here we are on the specific level of the library, with all these bridges linking the different buildings. So, from the terrace on the top and from behind, with the experimentation courtyard. And here is the finalization of the space. It's a prototype, one-scale prototype, of an atelier. So it's just to check the final material. It's an example, let's say a prototype. And so this portic should be on the real building like 13 meters long. But it was just to look at the different finalization. So the wood finishing inside, the acoustic stuff, the light that we draw also for the project. And what is also nice is that as it's the Ministry of Culture, our client, and they are responsible of architects, they are super, let's say, involved of the role of architecture in the building industry. And so they also give us the mission for the furniture, but also for all the signalization. And we have a lot of it's a super deeply designed building, even if it doesn't look like this.
The last one, or yeah, well, it's the bigger one, huh? So maybe no, it's not the more interesting, but the bigger, and it's again sport for me. We saw this drawing about Paris and the sport facilities, and we are going to show on this side. We are here in the Porte La Chapelle Gate, which is spaghetti dishes of subway and cars. One of the ugly part of Paris, let's say, on the north, very complicated, and the municipality choose this site to transform and to give some new energy on this part of Paris, and it's a district in a bigger scale of move and transformation with donc the project, which is a new Olympic game arena. So it's the only one building built for the Olympic game 2024 in Paris. It's 36,000 square meters and more than 10,000. Ah, mais en pesos or no? Let's say yeah, it's a lot of money. And in this district there's a campus just over there, district in transformation here, a lot of transformation. But with this project, what is the most interesting for us, that it's not only the main arena for 10,000 people, concert and sports basketball game, but it's always two gymnasium for the neighborhood. So it's not just a big stadium like Monumental, for example. Uses just one times 2 weeks, but uses all the day of year by people. The other thing, it's in a very tiny space, and we had in mind as a reference not the big sports structure, but the Parisian theater when we start to think about this project. And because let's say that the opera speak more about urbanity than big stadium, with ground floor connected to the street, with people going out and at home really quickly, and with the form choose just for the uses, focus on the roof, for example. So this was one of the first collage or test that we did in the competition. to speak about the main arena, the main part on the left, connected to the new place, and the other program in addition on the right part, but everything connected by this big ground floor. We worked on it with other architect and urbanist designer, and we draw this organization very quickly to speak about the relationship again in between the building and the urban fabric all around, to be supporter of the city, not just a spectator, but more like a Boca fan, supporter of the city as an architect. So we installed a level at 11 meter height, which allow us to create a gym on the right, the big concourse on the left, the big hall, and inside those two parts, 3-level little building with technical facilities, cloakroom, and so on. So here the first moment, the first strat, very open. The 11 height part, which is the terraces, and the blind volume, but really designed for the uses inside on the upper part. So this is finally the collage of the competition that we won, very close to the first one, speaking about this building in this art district in transformation, open on it to the people who live around. Let's see what is going inside. And for in the opposite side, the people inside the building to see the neighborhood. So with this position, we try to solve a program and architectural things, but also something more urban, so in a bigger scale. We take part of these big projects to transform to more larger the city, the district. So you can see a different type of drawing speaking about this large scale. So in section, but a more developed the project. And an axonometric view where you can see the terraces, let the people walking all around the building in relationship with the district. So here's the north part connected to the peripheric, the ring highway is the technical part of the building, but with the same infrastructure, same column, same beam than the other part, same treatment. That means the building is all around an important facade for us, even the more technical one. Here's the plan of the ground floor quickly with the big entrance, the big hall, the main room, and here the gymnasium. So here a view from the place around, and on the first floor the big concourse which allow people as well to walk all around and with those big piece of glasses open towards the city. And the third level with the terraces and a corridor linked in between the other gym and the main room. So some view of the terraces and the view of the upper gym, which is 17 meters high, so very in height level. So we started the construction more or less 1 year ago, and we are going to finish it in 1 year. So 2 years. 2 years to build that. So it's like a big effort. We were associated with a constructor in a big team. And this is another prototype of the facade with the development very precise on the handrail of the terraces. That create with all those lights a relationship with surrounding more longer than just the people close, because there is this type of possibility of message that can be passed thanks to those lights. Bon, voilà. Angèle. Donc, it's a picture of yesterday, more or less, with the building. We are going to finish the concrete part in 3 months. We are waiting for the big pan, the very big pan. And here other pictures taken with more or less the same point of view of the collage. From inside. From the hall. And from the périphérique. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicolas for the lecture, for the recent work, and for a very straightforward presentation on the project. Now we have some time for questions or comments. I'd like you to have something in mind regarding the introduction. Well, thanks for your generous presentation. I wanted to ask about the idea of restriction as opportunity. I see the work. For example, talking about the sports cathedral, you mentioned once that one of the questions you gave yourself was how to be with the less material as possible, and also this intention of no facade or no demolish, blue limits, or no corridors, for example. So
So I want to ask if you usually work with these self-imposed rules or challenges in order to put the project further.
No, vas-y.
I have to say that this picture is not really representative of the less concrete possible, this material. Also because when we draw this project, the competition, we develop a pure columns and beams structure. And because of the fact that we are associated with a builder for the competition, and it was 1 year of study and 2 years of construction. And it's quite short for a building of this size. And so they didn't want to take risk with the structure that we developed at the beginning. And so then we have this agreement to say that all the base is only columns and beams, but for the upper part, which is also constrained by acoustic, by fire, by a lot of stuff. Also because there is some beams of 80 meters deep, long. It was difficult to redo things that they usually are able to do. But you're right, on the majority of projects we are challenging the rules and challenging the program to make the more generous space. For example, in the Bordeaux, for the Cathedral of Sport, the budget is super low, and we were able to make it happen with the association, which was our client. Also, because we told them that for sports, it's not necessary to be inside, and that we can develop a lot more space dedicated for sport, but also for some places, some like large corridor to make this space really open and dynamic, and not only sports infrastructure superposed. And yeah. Tu veux autre chose?
Non, ça.
But it's always a long dialogue with the client to make them understand that it's not super conventional to have like circulation outside, for example. But it's also a large game. What do you say? Win for the project to have to have this. It's more an economy of gesture, like more exaggerate some spaces to let the others appear generous.
It seems like it's not only a project strategy but also a commercial strategy.
Yeah, it's a project strategy in a way, because it lets us to draw what we want, but we have in mind that it needs to be realistic for the economical models of our client, even if sometimes it's the public, so they are less regarding the rentability of the project, but they are precise to not spend more than they planify. And so to be generous, we have to, for our project, we need to develop this kind of strategy. But it's more pragmatic than
I just like to add that I thought it was very nice in the presentation to see how this strategy remains the same in other different scales. In the house in Marseille, this generosity that was very, very small, very small in the footprint. It's very similar to the terrace in this project, or to the terrace in the schools of fabrication in Marseille. So it's nice to see how the strategy remains the same throughout the different works. I don't know if there's any other questions from the audience. Question on the way from Chile.
Hi, do you hear me? Thanks for the lecture. And I have an easy one. So, if you had a wish, which kind of sports space would you like to design?
Football stadium, of course. Stadium for football. Yeah.
No screen.
Huh?
No, the other sport? A weird sport.
No.
We are developing a lot of sport projects, in fact, including a screen that you are talking about.
Dojo with karate, not too bad. Perhaps swimming pool as well. We don't know because with sports, it's strange because it's not really fancy to be involved in sport as architect because it's not too much, culture and very, popular way. But it's very surprising that we have a lot of sports projects ongoing with different sports and people called us to do some sports project, but with housing, with offices, with an hotel for sports guys who come in Paris for the marathon. That opened a lot of gates, and we from the beginning it was just some drawing and this book and that finished with that what is not possible for us to have a project like that normally, but finally it's never ending. So,
but what we like in sport program is to speak about the city. You get this, even if our English is really bad tonight. But we really look at how sport can create as an infrastructure a part of the city. And so, as Nicolas says, 6 years ago we didn't build anything, only houses, and so we started with really small sports equipment, and at the end we are with this project, which is more, which is speaking about the city at a super large scale. And so we are interested in all the scale of this program, also because it's speaking about like neighborhood association or really small space, urban space, but also like a super large. And so all the sports equipment are interesting, and the stadium is like a football stadium is something like a bit. Let's see. Sorry. No, it's too evident, but it's good to have this kind of questions.
One here from Marcela and then one from Santi. Well, first I want to thank you for the presentation. It's a privilege to see how the works evolve. Those are maybe very new pictures. And I wanted to add a question not related to programs, but related to how do you organize buildings. I noticed since you were scaling up the project that maybe some design technique was, at least for me, very clear. I noticed, and maybe you can it's okay, that most of the time you have a very clear perimeter. Maybe most of the time that perimeter is linked to a gallery. And it's very nice to see the Metropole gallery that you show, because there is a piece of it in a few projects. But
when you described the project in Brussels, and also the sport cathedral, and of course the architecture school, the last one, the Chapelle Arena, I can see that there is a very clear perimeter, and then there are like small islands of corners. You have like, the project has one perimeter, but in all of them I found that there are like a project inside a project that creates some internal currents, and they kind of react to what is by its side. I don't know if it's something that I saw or is it something that you are conscious about it, but maybe you can speak a little bit about
Vas-y, t'as dans les questions, toi. T'as dans les questions.
Yeah, you're right. It's when we had all this project, it's appearing super clearly that we use this same kind of reflex to draw our building. It's not evident for us, but it's true that the first thing that we usually are working on the limit of the building, as we say a lot tonight, and so we like that the circulation, which is the less programmed space, are in front of the facade to make the stuff more deep, the facade more deep, and not only like insulation things. And behind this all this gallery, exterior gallery, we developed the program to align on these things, and it's true that it's creating resulting spaces in between. And for us, it's the accident which are opposite to the facade, which is super regular, and it's probably why we have difficulty to define as other architects can do. It's more like at the end an addition of a series of accidents inside, which are something super interesting for us. That's true. But
the first part of the work in the competition is to or perfectly understand the program, to very fit on it, and then always add something, and of course with our generation it's not something about facade shaped or I don't know why an effect, and finally it's always a terrace, a balcony, something for uses in exterior, and as Paul said, we have some difficulty to define a bit theoretically what we do, but we prefer to show the spaces that we can, that we create or draw, and that path that we had this discussion this afternoon by the drawings and the collage and the test, and we developed very as the first time always a 3D model, to test the form and the spaces.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. It was really nice. I'm amazed really amazed by the softness of the materials that you work with, like from a historical reference to all the the images of architecture that we consume every day, and the radicality of the projects at the end, maybe connected with what Marcelo was saying, like this kind of very clear image from the outside, but in the inside you're projects are like an explosion of urbanity. Like all these interior spaces are super complex, and it's not a real question, but it's like how do you relate, because you're like a generation below like Lacaton, Herzog, and you see all these things in your work, Sana, and they're all like mixed. I don't know, I'm quite amazed by the presentation and to see like a kind of a new type of architecture coming out of all this kind of mess. It's not a question, but how do you relate it? The question would be like, how do you relate with the references that you work with that are so vast?
But you're right that we are looking at a lot of different references, and it's but also because it's for us more about strategy and less about design, and so it's not a matter of a period, let's say, but more a reaction to a situation which is always different, and so but you can compare to other buildings independently of the period they are designed and who designed them. And so it's clear that La Quatre is a large, it's really important in our reflection and in our discussion. So because Nicolas worked for them a long time, and so when we started the project, we are starting a project. We don't have an image of influence, but more an approach for this kind of question, and it's not drawing something, but it's creating some tools to do projects. Don't know if it's a good response, but it's less about design. And so maybe that's why you can add Herzog de Moron and La Quatre in the same sentence, and they are not doing the same architecture.
Also that you started from public space.
Mm-hmm.
And all your buildings have that in a way, like they're kind of interior, like also, I don't know, it's like who has really this building, like this kind of.
Yeah, but we all worked in a urbanism practice at first, and then we moved more with architecture. And as the first project of the office was public spaces or urban planning, maybe, then we move really quickly to other scales and type of project, and now urbanism is totally finished, and in urban planning, but it's here with our architecture, let's say.
I have maybe it's a more boring question, but it's in a way related with something. Since you worked in big offices before opening yours, probably that thing you were commenting with Santiago has something to do with this. But from what you told us, of course, thank you for the presentation also. Like in the last 6 years of your practice, probably your structure grows a lot, very fast. Mm-hmm. And the question is, how do you manage to organize that? Are you stressed with that?
Stressed? Yeah, we are very happy to be here, out of the office, and we try to don't answer on the phone. We go out of a period where we pass from 15 to 35 people, and of course that changed a bit how we create a project and we try to organize the office regarding this condition. But now we go down because all the projects are almost finished. But to keep what we want to do, we are always involved on the competition. We design everything all together. All the projects are sharing by the fourth associates, and like that we what is important is the office and not our own, and that's the way to stay all together, very close to that we find to stay on tracks and to keep what we want to do. But
what is clear is that we are 4 associates, and so it's really complicated at some moment. But for to manage several projects at the same time, it's a good thing, and it's and so it's
I mentioned the offices you worked for before,
mm-hmm.
because probably when you started with them, they were already big offices,
mm-hmm.
right? So
depends. Yeah. No, I when I was in La Vassal at the beginning, we were I don't know, perhaps 20 maximum. With the School of Architecture of Nantes and other projects like that, very impressive. When I left, they were 8, because it's complicated to stay on one level when your projects are always radical as they can do, but we are not here to speak about them, but they don't want to deal with that, and so sometimes you are less than 1 year or 2 years ago, and it's more or less what we live right now. But Harosteguy it's another type of agency that you know better than me, maybe.
That there were 300. But what is nice is that the office is that they are involved in all the projects, and they have an organization hyper radical to let them involved in all the design solutions. And when we started the office, we were 4. And I had this background of organization of 300 people, and I tried to put it in the middle of the game. It was not that easy, I have to say. But now sometimes it's let us able to manage a large project.
thank you.
I have a question about the references also. I've seen that you always have art reference at some point at the beginning of your project. Or art or cultural spaces, no? You have showed a picture of the Opéra Paris when you are designing that, or just Circo Calde are designing a building that is it's in a very industrial part of France. I wanted to know what is how come is that references are at the end of the project, if you see that reference in the project. Because for the Knapp in the circus, I think it's I look at it as an object also, I think it's a very, it is an object with the stairs and the shadow of the stairs, big door, and it looks like a painting.
The stairs is cultural, right? No, but I believe also because we are for to design and we discuss a lot and we don't draw that quickly. We need to exchange some pictures to formalize an idea, and so we exchange a lot of some references with a lot of different domains. It's art, but it's also can be architecture. It's really domain different, but it from a theoretical discussion in making space appearing with these references, and so it's making the reality happening in a way, even if it's not directly a direct inspiration. It's illustrating all the discussion we can have when we are including the Pompeii Forum for the School of Architecture. It was the moment where we have this question of how to deal with a different building and how it can create something coherent, because it's not possible to have this bricolage building with a lot of stuff adding, and it's not working, and we were saying we are going to the crash. But when we were speaking about Pompeii, we were saying maybe there is a possibility with this all these columns around, and so it's helping us to resolve things. The commenting risk questions.
I was thinking about what you just said and the comment after and Santiago did, that there is a very interesting balance in the projects between order and disorder, between what is regulated, what is the system of the structure, what is agreed, and this certain softness that appears in the organization of the programs themselves, as islands or as a softness that Santiago said, almost like cities in a way, almost like there is a structure which leaves space for program. And I wanted to ask you specifically about that, about order, because the references of your own trajectory, L'Ambassade and Harosteguy are very, for example, L'Ambassade are very hard on modern architects who study modern architecture, who did a lot with, were not so free, perhaps, in a way, or so soft in the proportions or in how you organize the program. So I was wondering about that. How do you feel about order? I mean, you mentioned it a little bit when you say it's not design, it's a strategy. But what is the limit of that in your work when you're designing?
So if you're right, it's a way design. It's a communication to say that it's strategy, because everything is design. At some point you have to draw a line. What we learned is that from Anne, that every line have a reality, and so a cost, and so a function, and so we can't draw lines without just for the beauty of the part. You can, but I mean it's difficult to discuss the form of a line if you don't understand that there is a reality behind. And but what we are trying to do is that at the beginning of the project is to be super clear in our idea, and after that to calibrate also with our collage of our drawings, to make it more soft, as you mentioned, to make it more like how do you say? With the uses appearing, and not some just lines wandering.
Often it's a radical structure, or very simple, or very, let's say, organized. And behind some points, like I said, with exterior spaces, but also in Marseille or in Bordeaux, the stairs. All the stairs are very designed because we save money with these structural things and precast way of construction, and then we try to appear more like a building of uses, and with form to create uses. And those forms can be on this way very free, the opposite of the structure.
Yes, it's a combination of rules and exceptions, and when two rules are merging, it's creating exception or accident or lucky moment.
Thank you. I don't know if there's any other questions, perhaps from the students. No. Well, if not, I think we'll call it a night. Thank you very much for the presentation and everyone for sharing.
Thank you.